Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I am calling this meeting to order. We do have two items that I need to address on the agenda. We need to add new business number 12, MJ Engineering Proposal on the comprehensive plan. And then the second item is, with regret, I misspelled Ian McAllister's last name. It's McKellar. Number 6 under new business, MACKELLAR. First item on the agenda is public comment. This is the time for the board to listen to the public on any concerns or comments you would like to make. We do ask that you go to the podium, but be careful because the top is a little loose. And you might notice that if you could speak into the microphone, identify yourself and state your concerns, comments. Again, we're here to listen. If you could keep it under 3 minutes so that everybody will have an opportunity, that would be appreciated. And then once everybody has their turn and you want to go back up, you're more than welcome to. Okay? And an address. Okay. So with that being said, is everybody okay on this? Okay, great.
Can we call them?
Absolutely. Public comment.
Okay, my name is Clark Cummings and I live up on 86 Riverside Drive, and I'm new to this subject. I want to ask you a question about what is the town's position on the Ridge Road solar project that's coming down the pipe?
Again, Clark, this is the time for public comment right now on your concerns, and it's not a give and take right now.
Okay.
So we'll take that into consideration, and then at the end, the board will make a decision.
Okay, so then my next question would be guidance on how we will go about being able to talk about it next week. So at least the second question is about more public discussion regarding this topic. Under the understanding of the meeting online, there's supposed to be a minimum of 4 of them. I think there have been 2 of them so far. 2 informations about what the project consists of and everybody who's involved and all that kind of stuff. And then the other one is Canton's responsibility in the project as far as what you guys control, who has control of it. I was under the understanding it had something to do with 10%. What does that 10% mean?
So we'll take those into consideration, and we'll give everybody an opportunity to comment. And then move forward with the question. Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks everyone for being here. I'm Paula Jensen Walton. See what you mean here. Paula Jensen Walton, and I live on 965 9th Street Road. And I found out about this project probably 3 weeks ago. My daughter was doing a concert, and I went into those signs, and someone said, "I think it's near your house. Is that when you're using it?" And I went in and looked. I said, "Well, I think that's down further." But then when I went back home, I looked online, I realized, yep, it's directly across. And that's not my concern really, because I actually have a ridge, so I won't see it. But I did receive a postcard. It's the only notice I got. Later finding out, some people had been asked about wells. I did not receive anything on that. The meeting in July was advertised, I believe, according to the website, the Watertown Times, the North Country This Week, Ogdensburg Journal, but not our hometown paper, which I subscribe to, which is the Canton. So that said, I think the integrity is one concern I have, that it was called the Ridge Road Project, when actually it includes 7 roads, not just the Ridge Road. Because as I saw the Ridge Road project, I thought, well, I support solar energy. And someone on the Ridge Road is having one. But when I looked at the map, I saw it was extensive. 11, Jingle Road, the Irish Settlement Road, Old Cow Road, and Minor Street Road. This one. No, oh, the old. Route. So just the integrity of that and the fact that that's a concern I have. That I live right across from where it's going to be ordered. And nobody knocked on my door, or I did not get any kind of personalized thing until that 3 weeks ago. Actually, I went home and it was in the mail. So that's one concern I have. The other is just the sheer size of it. I'm summarizing the letter that I sent to you, just so for everyone. It is 1,700 acres, which if you do the math is 2.6 square miles. According to the US Census, town of Canton is like 3.8, doesn't leave a lot of things. And I just have concern, when we built our house, there was no one around. We have 12 acres. I think I said it's like 40 times more. And so that's just, is that going to welcome people to Canton if they're looking, considering living? The care and responsibility. It seems to me if we're building something that size, Canton should benefit. And that means why not consider Canton? I'm not asking for an answer, but a solar farm that really benefits us, like Messina has hydropower and they have cheap energy. So I certainly hope if we're negotiating with PBF, that we're negotiating with Foster Caring considerable savings, because everyone should benefit from this if everyone is having to view. The beauty, I went on the Town of Canton website, and I just want to quote, because this, I bike on the old Cal, I bike out on the Empires Road, and then I go across Route 11 on the Lincoln Road, and then I go on the old Cal. And it's a beautiful country bike ride. I come down through the town and come back. That old Cal Road looks like it's one of all themselves. You know, there's going to be a lot of awesome trees. I'm not up yet, but I just want to quote from the Town of Canton's website. The Town of Canton is predominantly rural in character, boasting farms, open meadows, woodlands, and beautiful open spaces. And again, it says, quote, thriving farms and rolling pastures, and open meadows, woodlands, and valleys all close to the beautiful grassland. I live on the grassland, and the solar farm is proposed right across from us. So, and the safety, the lithium battery, I don't know how large a thing that will be, but we know we don't take lithium batteries on airplanes. Every time I go to the post office to mail a package to my kids, or is there anything, you know, no batteries? So that's it. And I just really hope we really think twice, and if we can talk about it instead of just last minute.
Thank you, Paula. We did receive your letter, and I'm going to hand it to the clerk for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Casey Maroney, 968 Irish Settlement Road. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna ask you to kind of take a trip with me. I'm sure some of you guys remember this from about 30 years ago. We had a pipeline coming. And this pipeline came in through the town of Canton. Town of Canton has benefited greatly from that. I believe they're the largest taxpayer in the town of Canton. But back then, when I was a little girl, this pipeline forced itself onto my land and used eminent, eminent domain, which the solar is looking at what the fossil fuel industry has done, and it's adapting its ways. Cut my fourth generation land in half. Now I can only do so much with that first part, not so much with that last part. Well, come to find out a few weeks ago, I find out that this is going right next to my family's property. So not only do I have a pipeline, I'm gonna look out and see solar farms. So what I'm asking you is to really think about how this is gonna benefit you. I mean, we have the airport pipeline, and now we're gonna have a solar farm, and my property value has plummeted and will plummet even more. I won't get a dime from this. I understand some of the farmers are getting $1,700 an acre. I understand that. My parents would have played ball at the beginning of the pipeline, and they would have got a lot more money, $500 and $1 every year after, because they were the last people standing. This is my home. My son will take that land over. Upper and Lower Lakes is right next to me. Take a trip in the springtime down there, saw my home. You want to see wildlife? You will see more wildlife than you will see in any other part of Canton, guarantee you. I'm asking you, I understand the state is in control of this, but I'm asking as a town of Canton, do something. This isn't right. We don't have enough science behind what's coming into our town, and we're not getting the benefit of it. And I spoke to a gentleman the other day that told me, well, solar panel on every inch of New York State, it will not power New York State. So where, I mean, benefit outweighs the means, I mean, so I'm asking you to be a little bit more, I guess, transparent. Because as somebody where this is going to be my next door neighbor, I get something in the mail asking me about where my walls are, where my buildings are, asking me to do a sketch for them. And all of my information from the pipeline have the same exact thing. Sketching my house, sketching my well, sketching where my barn is. And I had no idea this was coming from, because it was a rich road. Like, no offense to the rich road, I didn't realize it was gonna span acres and acres and acres and take over Upper and Lower Lakes. So I'm just asking you, think about this, please.
We're just standing in agreement. Just to show it's for.
Other public comment?
Okay, we'll stop doing that. We'll stop doing that.
I'm Richard Grover. I live in the village here. And I'm pretty familiar with this area, although not the specific plans. But I travel, I have properties west of here. I travel the old DeKalb Road a lot. And Upper and Lower Lakes, I visit frequently. And all I can just echo what's already been said here. This bucolic countryside that we have here is the heart and soul of the North Country, St. Lawrence County, Canton to be specific. This is where we live. And we're, as far as I know, there's nobody in this room that's forced to live here. This is the core of our home. And my comments are, I think, going to be more directed to this audience, in fact, to the town. I don't see too many gray hairs in here. There are some, but I don't know how many here were around when the power line was built here, the 765 kV line. I was the director of planning for St. Lawrence County at that time. And we took on the challenge of trying to stop that power line. I shouldn't say that, I rephrased that inaccurately. There was a movement here, a political movement to try to stop that power line from being built. I have a photograph with me from a brief that the St. Lawrence County Planning Board submitted in those proceedings. And there's a photograph of a citizen march here in Edwards, between Russell and Edwards. Over 1,000 people marched in opposition to that project. Why is that relevant to what we're doing here? Because public pressure has an enormous impact on your ability to negotiate and come up with plans that you can live with. Frankly, I don't think there's anything that can be done, knowing where this project comes from, to stop this project. The state of New York has too much vested interest in this whole process. this whole power line. In this room, there was a meeting a few years ago when the Power Authority unveiled their plans to upgrade the 765 kV line to make capacity for renewable energy to be generated in this region and sent downstate. Yes, a lot of people are surprised by this, but this has been coming for years. And anybody that's been paying attention should know about it. So for me, the bottom line is organize. Organize as a community. And as I said, I've got the brief of the St. Lawrence County Planning Board. What's the relevance of that? We were successful in getting a 14-mile segment of that project rerouted around the Elm Creek Valley in the Edwards area. We saved farms and we saved the lives of livelihoods of farmers in that region. And that all resulted because of public pressure. At the meeting in Albany, when the New York State Public Service Commission certified the alternate route, nobody in the history of the Public Service Commission, no local government had ever had such an impact on a project as we had in 1976 when the alternate route was certified. So I could go on a lot of details of that. All I'll say is, if there's any hope to alter this project, to make it aesthetically acceptable, I personally have a planning and design background. My training is in landscape architecture and environmental planning. I think of it and I say, we could make this a lot better than it is. If this is going to be something that happens that we can't stop, we can certainly affect the design of it. And urging this audience and those many that aren't here to organize. There was what started the whole process in the 70s, almost done, was citizen action. A group, a farmer in Herman started it, Jim Monifo, and they started an organization called UPSET, Upstate People for Safe Energy Technology. Okay, UPSET. I talked to one of the founders of UPSET on the phone yesterday. Bob, is there any reason we can't use the name UPSET again? Absolutely not. It's a citizen organization, but they had an enormous impact on the decision making that followed on that. So I twist a little bit. Upstate People for Sensible Energy Technology. Resurrect UPSET out of the landscape and create an organization. Without citizen pressure, this is going to go through pretty much as it's designed. Sorry to say that, but.
Thank you, Richard.
My name is Frank Maloney, 168 Alexander. I am one of these graders. I've lived through all, if everybody here have a tendency to forget. I lived through Upper and Lower Lakes coming in. People forget about that. People forget about the farmlands that were taken by the state of New York. From Lower Lakes. They just didn't come in and give you a price. They come in and tell me. From my grandmother right out of farming, put her in the grave. Les Thompson. All these big farmers back then, 60 cow farm, pretty big back then for a family. Then the next thing I know, Iroquois pipeline come in. I looked through that. come right through the state land that was forever wild. It's the state of New York thought that it was better for the greater New York and Connecticut area. They just didn't offer a took. Now, 765 kV line, the Iroquois pipeline, they made a border. So we can run more things in between. People don't realize that. It's coming. Now we've got a solar. What about the neighboring properties, like my daughter said? It's gonna wipe them right out. They're not gonna be worth anything. Who's gonna wanna drive down by your house and see solar panels? My neighbor, Toby Irvin. People have to stop and think about the greater Canton. Everybody wants to go down through and see solar panels, and pipelines, and 765 kV lines. But hey, you're certainly living in the right area because nobody cares. I made calls to some of the people that are on that list. A few of them here. No answer. Couldn't get in touch with them. Couldn't get in touch with anybody. Anybody to do with Upper and Lower Lakes. Nobody, period, wants to talk about it. Nobody knows anything about it as well. This has been a messed up situation. We call it the Rich Road. Like the lady said, 7 different roads. The town of Canton is going to make quite a bit of money out of this, just like they did pipeline. Us landowners getting crap. $500 here, $500 there, $1 a year. And they can walk through my property anytime they want. Anything they want, they can run a bulldozer. There's nothing we can do about it. They came through and blasted. My horses were within 40 feet of where they were blasting. How do I know? Because I was right there. I was one of the people that were actually doing the blasting. They didn't care at all, but yet everybody just turned a blind eye to it. I've seen some of the crap that goes on when they build these things. Construction, all my life. Burying stuff, burying hydraulic drums and stuff. Mr. Smith, he knows. Nothing is what it seems to be. This village or the town should stand up and say, no, no more. I know a few landowners are walking around right now bragging, oh, it's my retirement. They don't know that they screwed their neighbors. And I wonder just how the neighbors are gonna look at them. Talk them down to the only house. Just like the township.
Thank you. My name is Barb Keller Rogers, and I live at 989 Minor Street Road in Canton, and I have already sent my letter to the members of the town board expressing my opinions about the Ridge Road Solar Project. But the more I listen this evening, the more I suspect that we may have quite a long fight ahead of us. And getting organized is a great idea. And I had a request for the board for better communication with the town. Is there a recording secretary who can release a press release like other not-for-profits do every time there's a meeting, just a short synopsis or ahead of each meeting, and release it to all the regional media outlets? I know just in my inbox, I get press releases every time there's a new hire at the hospital, or every time there's a new teacher hire, I know a press release comes out. Yet I never see press releases from the town. I think it would be a great benefit to all of us if you would release a press release before or after each town meeting and just email it out to local sources. And that way, no matter what local news source we subscribe to or social media, we're likely to get your press release, or we could sign up for press releases from the town. I think that would help a lot with the communication, because so many of us are in pandemic mode. We haven't been to a meeting in 2.5 years, and so we feel like we've been in the dark all this time. So my request is for regular communication en masse with anyone who wants to be on an email list or with all the local media outlets. Simply short press release. Tomorrow's meeting starts at 6:30, public comment, before and after, or here is what we did last night at the town board meeting. I think that would go a long way to keeping us all informed. And the other thing I just wanted to say was, if this really does look like it's going to steamroll right through Canton, I think all of us need to think about what we would ask for to make this more palatable. How much of a setback from the road would you like to see from your property line? How many trees and how tall? And what kind of wildlife corridors do you think would be smart to go through your property? I think every one of us needs to start thinking about the concessions that we would like to see in order to make this project livable. And that's it. Thank you very much.
My name is Cindy Randy, and I live on County Route 21. I'm not directly impacted by this project, but I am a lover of the town of Canton. And I grew up in the area. I was away for a number of years, but in the early 2000s, my husband and I relocated here because we wanted to retire. Not just for the natural beauty, but because of community. I'm concerned that since we are nothing but a town of solar panels, it's going to impact everything, the children, generations to come. Simply because those kinds of things, it's a subconscious thing that happens. You just, over time, realize you become complacent, and I don't know, I just feel like we are, we're here by choice. And he's forcing us to live here. But Canton is a unique place. I had said in my letter to you that we read all the time how the rural areas are dying. Everything is urban, urban, urban. True. However, we don't. My son says, he says, Mom, you live in a bubble. Potsdam and Canton each have 2 universities, and the feel of rural America is very different than other places. Visit other rural communities for any amount of time. It doesn't have the feel that Canton has. I don't think anybody here is against finding sustainable energy sources. I certainly don't. I just believe this is way too large. 1,700 acres. I think the village is 200 acres. It's hard to fathom. Oh, this is what I think of. This is just, to me, if you read up on colonialism, this smacks colonialism. And I hate to see our wonderful town of Canton perpetuate that. So I'm hoping that we don't have to fight too hard, but I'm guessing we probably will. Since this is a state project, I know the town has limitations, which is unfortunate. So I hope that, I like Barb's thought of more communication. I'm worried about timelines. I think there are timelines, there's gonna be dates for everything to happen. And how are we gonna know if somebody doesn't like this? So maybe you can have ideas for that.
Thank you, Cindy, and we have your letter. Other comments?
Now you have one more thing.
Yes.
One thing I just read about was some geothermal. And, you know, new technologies come on board all the time. And as I read this, it's out of Cornell University. They're doing 2-mile boring a hole and have geothermal. And saying that that's, you know, that's where the future is. So my just concern was, is this a flash in the pan? A knee-jerk fix the problem we have now? We need more electricity. I think the elephant in the room is conservation. And not quite so much supporting of materialism. That was in my letter and I forgot to say that. Instead of just, oh, we need more energy, let's give it to them. You know, or give. I think we really should look at that. And is that going to be in 30 years where the energy is? And then what are we going to do if it's not? If it's, you know, if it's outdated.
Ms. Clark, right?
Yes, Clark. Sorry, I'm over the place. I haven't been to one of these before, so now I get a little feel for it. So I'm gonna do my 3 minutes. Here's some stuff I had to do research on. First of all, I tried to call here, call a bunch and everything. Finally got through to Mike. And then when I started asking him questions, he only told me what he knew, but he also said any questions he would send in, they're just gonna forward down PDF. So, sorry, I called the guy. Everybody got that thing in the mail, right, where they tell you that they put it in papers, and his number was down at the bottom. I called him, I talked to him. 500,000 solar panels, 500,000, that's what's coming up. Now, what he didn't tell me that I did research on today, because I got a little bit of experience with solar panels, with my own projects, but is the reason it's 1,700 acres is they need 1 acre for every, I mean, 6 to 8 acres for a kilowatt of power. So when you do the math, you do 7, you pick one in the middle, 1,700 acres, that's where they got that. They're talking about doing the battery thing, but that's not, they're gonna put it in the proposal, but they might not do the battery storage system. They might just plug it all into the grid, okay? The panels themselves are 3.5 feet by 6.5 feet. Mike told me they were 10 feet. They're only 10 feet high once they're sitting on their system there, and the system is called, what is it? It's a tracking, we call them tracking strings. So the panels will rotate with the sun, and there's about 26 units on each string, and there's 14 feet between each string from end to end. Okay, so that's how they say that's going to work. Now, a couple of things that I read online where they say there's no harmful things in the panels. That's crap. They're full of it. That's why there's a hard time right now. There's only one company that I know of on the planet that knows how to recycle these things right. Okay, it's a big, huge issue on how to recycle solar panels. All right, so that's a lie. They do have poison stuff in it. The other thing is that they are 49-year panels. That's also not true. The average is 25 years, okay? Because if it was longer than that, then why would they only have this thing planned for 20 years? Because if it was 49 years, why in the hell wouldn't they milk that baby up for 49 years? They're not gonna, okay? So, and then last thing I want to share is, you know, on the website, they show you this right here. You know, it's lightened out a little bit. It's sunny kind of thing. Hey, this is our plan. This is a fact right here. It's gonna be covered in solar panels. And if you want to know what it really looks like, go to Google, Google solar farm from the sky. And you will see all these pictures of other places that have already gone down this road. So this is basically it. Thank you.
Clark, may I ask you Mike's last name?
Mike McHugh?
McQuaid?
McQuaid, great, sorry. I called and talked to him.
I assume that.
Yeah, and he's got me a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Molnar. I don't know too much about the project. I saw something in the North Country this week, about 3 weeks ago. I remember reading it, thinking, how big is it? And that was one thing we neglected to put into that ad or whatever, or the announcement of what the project was. And then just found out about that too in the last week, that how many thousand, almost 2,000 acres. So I thought that was a little surprising and stuff like that. And probably the only question I would have for you would be just, can more of these projects come up? Would this just be the first one of 5 of them, 10 of them, or something like that? And so I just wonder what the limit of it is. I mean, this one's stretching any kind of limit, but there were 2 or 3 of these, and it gets to be a lot more. Thank you.
Other comments?
Has pretty new comprehensive solar plan in place. And what I'm wondering, is that something that the public could be aware of and could read it? And if so, and answer my question right now, but if so, how could we go about acquiring that solar?
On town website.
Thank you.
I would like to add to the record that you received the email from Katrina. To the clerk, she also will come up. Any other comments?
Thank you for this time to speak.
Thank you for coming. Okay, we'll take all your comments into consideration as it is an issue. We'll try and move forward as well. We have this all on record. The minutes are available after each meeting within 15 days of the meeting. So there is that information regarding what we do and everything that's happened. Lengthy reading, minutes. So that is one opportunity. And we have everything recorded as well. We've been doing that.
Website?
Yeah, yes. Yep.
We need to on some things that we can comment on.
Okay.
We can
Would you like
comment
to
on
start?
anything. And like one of the things we talked about the solar law. Bob and I, attorney of Jefferson County, we formulated that law. And we have a lot of control with that law over the solar, the community solar projects, which are the 35 megawatts. What we're going to find, and we've been told plenty of times, that most of what is in that solar law, the state of New York will consider to be non-substantive. Our solar law is going to have very, very little impact on the large project. I've spent, I don't know how many hours in meetings with EDF and solar, but this is my file on EDF. And it's tough. And I'm very, very glad to see you. We've talked about it at every meeting we've had. I have stated we're going from an agricultural community to industrial. That's just going to happen. We can't. So, we need the whole community to decide where we should go. You know, I don't think it's up to just this board to make that final decision.
whatever it may be. And if you want to oppose this, we need a lot of help.
I guess what I would add to that, well, I want to thank everyone for coming as well. We've been hoping for this, honestly, and trying to get the word out as best as possible. With that in mind, we are in the process of creating a white paper, which is going to be a living document that will sit on our website that will explain how we got to this point and updates along the way. Like Jim had said, we worked for 3 years ago now, we wrote a solar law that was forward thinking, ahead of the curve, and applicable to projects of 5 megawatt or smaller. This is a 240 megawatt project, and that's under the Office of Renewable and Energy Siting Board. And that's really another place for you to express your comments and concerns. That address and link will be on the white paper. And there was a docket number with this Rich Road project, and I agree about the title of Rich Road. That jumped out to me day one years ago. So with that said, the ORES site, Office of Renewable Energy Siting, takes public comment, and that comment is open now, and it will be along the way. And I'd also suggest look at other projects that are also on that site that are maybe further in the permitting process to learn what reaction that community had, what success and failures they've had. There's a lot of information to be gleaned off that website, and it is going to take a town to deal with this. Thank you.
Not only a town. I mean, there's something right there that everybody's got to really take in mind. It's the county. You're talking about putting one here in Canton. Talk about Potsdam. Let's talk about Edwards. Once the state allows them to go ahead and do this, what's next? Another one? Another one? Let's go to Potsdam. Let's build one in Potsdam. State of New York, let Canton, tell Canton they had to have it. So Potsdam. Is Canton going to go ahead and start realizing that this is bigger than just the town?
We've realized that, sir. We've had the county in on helping to adopt our law and help write our law, and we time and time again ask the county and other towns to consider adopting our law, cutting and pasting it, putting their name on it, so there was some unified front regionally against on this. And we're the ones standing alone with a law. The communities around us don't have any law like we have. And we did our best to go through the county and try to get a regional approach to this, but that's easier said than done.
There
And
hasn't been
since-
much publicity over it. That's the whole thing. It's all been really hush. No, it hasn't blown up. Now it's blowing up.
Well, and that's because of what we did at our last meeting in order to get the newspapers to really put this on the front page. That
We
was,
need to really get the newspaper and TV and everything and show pictures of up there in Lower Lake, show pictures of the farmland. And if people are worried about the height of the trees and stuff, the whole 9 yards is, you look on that map, it's all farmland. It's already tillable land. They aren't going in and they're not going to cut down a ton of trees. They're going to take meadows in all different places. They're going to do as least work as possible and get as much land where they don't have to do anything. And people forget they're going to have lines going through blasting. I know that area. Like I said, we blasted that whole thing with the pipeline. It was terrible. And they're going to come in there and they're going to do the same thing. And they're going to destroy property. Believe me, people don't understand.
to your point about other projects, when Canton was announced, there was only one other project, the 94 feet project in the Messina area. And since then, Messina already has the second one slated. There's another big one slated over in Bigelow. So it's happening.
Yep.
And right now, for Canton, we need to focus on Canton because we tried to get the other towns to come together and talk about this regionally, and we didn't get anybody to bite. So we've been trying to deal with this on our own ever since. And we're going to continue to do so with your help.
There's a board for New York State that approves these projects. They've only ever disapproved one. There was one between Messina and Norwood because of the wetlands that disapproved that. And on your note about getting help from, looking at other projects, there's a couple of organizations out there and sites out there I've been digging through them, and there's actually other places in New York State that have already started this process of pushing back, and they got petitions, and you can look at all the language that's in there, and it's like, and we've been passing them around. We only have like a few people, so, you know, we've got the information, but obviously now more people are interested. We can share that. There's just a lot of good ways of how they're looking at it, expressing themselves and doing that, and you can contact these organizations whenever you want.
Agreed. I just want to say one thing with regard to the town just saying dollar signs when it comes to this. I'm going to speak for those of us that have been working on this. That's the furthest thing from what we're thinking about. We're talking about protecting this community. There's not enough money to save, trade that away, in my opinion, my personal opinion. So to allege that we're all we're concerned about is dollar signs couldn't be further from the truth.
I'm gonna add, Mr. Sandamore would like to say something.
So kind of what Richard's already said. We all have to communicate this everywhere, not just in this room. I mean, the old adage, safety in numbers. Well, in this case, communication in numbers. Tell your neighbors, tell your elected officials, tell your county elected officials, your state elected officials. Nothing will move if we just sit here and talk about it here, right? I mean, so we got to talk about it everywhere. My concern is what all of your concerns are, in addition to property values, because you're not wrong. It can happen, and that to me is a concern. I just don't want to forget my thought. I think if we're looking at a whole bunch of stuff, the landscaping, all those kinds of things. We're pushing as hard as we can, but we can only push so hard, as Jim's already said. You guys have to help us do that too, and maybe we'll get somewhere.
I'd like to make a comment. 3 years ago, we did try to get a seat at the state siting board table. The county administrator had the ability to recommend a person, as well as the town supervisor. We both tried to do that, and it didn't go. So we tried to get at the state level, and I just want to put that on record that we tried. So, all right.
Sorry, can I just say one more thing quickly?
Sure.
As property values go, be really careful too, because if you do any research, you will see that a lot of times the state will hire these appraisers, and they will tell you nothing is going to happen to your property. If everything's good, you're a neighbor. You have to be really careful too, because the state is hiring appraisers to tell you these things. And if you even Google it, the first couple things are all state, and it's all nothing's going to happen. Then you start digging into Harvard and other places, and yes, property values do fall.
Lynn,
I just have a question.
can you say your name?
Lynn CA, Canton. Are there any more plans for the more open community meetings about this? I mean, I know I went to one up that house and years ago almost now, was it pre-COVID?
I'm not sure that EDF has one, but one thing we did do is we require EDF now, and they concede it to make sure that anytime they're gonna have an event, that there's a direct mailer to everyone in the town of Canton. Originally, they proposed to only do a mile or so off of the project boundaries, but we made them that everybody that has an 9/11 address in the town of Canton is gonna get notified when they're having their public. So I mean, we're peeling back the layers the best we can on this, but we're also building the airplane in the air because this is all new, and especially the Article 10 process is an expedited process, so the old 94C process, and that came at the behest of the developers who thought that towns like Canton were getting in the way of helping the town reach their aggressive climate goals. And so there was a deal made where new rules were written that expedited these projects. And in that process, local voice has been removed. So, I mean, that's what we're up against in a nutshell.
Would you explain the role of interveners and how there is money available for intervener organizations that would want to take on a project like this and try to influence it?
I'm not equipped to answer that question, although you're right, there will be funds available to stakeholders in this. That hasn't started yet, but it is gonna be available. Keep an eye on that ORES site. All the filings are gonna be on there. It's all public information. And that's gonna be the holding area that will start all the clocks ticking and give everyone.
Okay.
If you wanted, if you wanted to organize, like you said, if you want to organize a group called upset, if that's what you want to call it, then you organize, you would be eligible to apply for intervenor funds.
That was my point. Organize and you become an organization and you become potentially eligible for state funding to have your interests represented. So, it's been said here a couple of times, the, location of the solar panels, the landscaping, the trees, how that, there's many different ways to skin a cat, all right? And no offense to any kitty lovers here, but I have a cat, so, but that, the whole idea that an organization could hire an expert or experts in this kind of project and have come forth with legitimate proposals for not putting any panels over there because, and,
Third-party data,
sorry,
third-party data.
yes. So without an organization, without an organized community, we're wasting our time, in my opinion. We're just, excuse the expression, pissing into the wind.
Can the town apply as an intervener? Is that something
We
that
will
the
be.
town will be doing?
Of course,
Okay,
of
thank
course.
you.
Part of the.
But there can be more than one. There's
Yes.
the town can do it, the organization.
Multiple
Okay.
stakeholders, but there is a limit on the money. There's $1,000 per megawatt per project. So this one, the state will have a fund paid by EDF of $240,000.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm Rainbow Crabtree, Big Schoolhouse Road.
There's one question on here, Zoom, from a Robert Hunt. What are the steps that we need to take to oppose the solar project? Will the Canton Municipal Board outline the process that members of the community need to take in order to oppose this project?
I think we more or less just did. But I think we also have to be careful that this is an independent board and individuals on it. And we have to thread that needle carefully.
Can you ask Robert?
Regardless of how this board feels about this project, we still have to negotiate with these people. Because as some say, well, most say, we're not gonna stop this. And if we don't stop it, we certainly want to get everything we possibly can get if we can. The only problem is, the only thing we're gonna get. is wood. That's all we're gonna get. That's all they have to offer. And which, yeah, it's not, but at the same time, we have to continue our job and, as elected officials to see that we negotiate something that, other than just having something crammed down our throats.
Has anybody found out or know just what it's going to do to, any of these questions that have been asked? Has there been any, like upper and lower lakes people, conservation, soil and water? Has anybody done any type of research? The DEC, anything? I mean, that's the.
If you look at the governor's announcement on the 22 major projects that got okayed, approved for New York State, this being one of them, the DEC signed off on it, Ag and Market signed off on it. So pretty much all of the entities that you would think as a farmer or an environmentalist are going to have your back are all signed on.
Okay, I'll take one more. Oh, sorry, Mark.
Sorry, is this what fast tracking means?
I hope not, but probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
That
Love
was
to
the fun
have
part.
you, so you can see what we're doing. The agendas are out there as well, but otherwise, thank you very much for coming. You, no, you're not going anywhere. All right.
You're set up in the garage already? You're set up in the garage already?
I didn't know this was involved with this every year. My farm was this.
Oh, yeah.
100% solar. No, I mean, I'm just saying, this is commercial, this is okay.
No, and I was pretty sure Bob Moore was like, no.
That's what I'm saying. That's why there's a $2,000 or something.
That's why this is hard to read too, if you look at it, because I was like, talking to Mara and but then once I saw, where are you? You're right here, right? Wait, no. Yeah, you're right here.
The green one.
And Mom's right here.
And that's what.
Richardson's right
But
across
there,
from John.
the updated map. Knows allow
All right. The next item on the agenda is county legislative representative update.
So,
Oh, are we all set to reconvene? Okay, so I don't see any of our current county legislators here. We do have a newly elected person here. Welcome to our meeting. Yeah. Approval of the minutes, regular. So, John feels that you should stand up and introduce yourself to everybody. Sure.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ben Hull. I am a newly minted county legislator elect for District 8. And so I'm very honored to have received the news last night. I won the election. Very, very humbled and thankful to step into, I think, a legacy that Makers has set in the last 12 years. I think it's a good example of we can work with everyone, anyone who's involved in county level and town level projects and interests. And so I hope to carry that on. Thank you so much for letting me just introduce myself. I will be doing my best to be present at this meeting and others as much as I can. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my contact information there. Thank you.
I need a motion to approve minutes of the regular board meeting of 10-12, special meetings on the budget 10-4 and 10-1. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Carried. Correspondence. St. Lawrence County did send October 13th the adoption of the county equalization rates. So that's pretty interesting on the assessed values. That's part of the record. I'll send that down to Heidi. The other items that we got from the county chamber are the talking points of the International University Sports Federation, things that are coming up as well. So we'll submit that tonight. Okay, town finances report. Angela, good evening.
We have prepared and the town has completed 10 months of revenue collection and expenditures. Looking across all fund activity throughout the town of Canton, there is a surplus year to date. Some of that being in large part being our highway funds as winter approaches will certainly start to close the gap on some of the spending there. Just to point out that the total revenue in the general fund has exceeded the budgeted amount, but just to know that expenses did as well, related dollar to dollar to our spending. So, while we are looking like the general fund has an excess of revenue, it was planned for, that is what it's related to. The final page shows the cash position of the town of Canton year over year from October 31st, 2022 to 2021. We see a slight increase in cash. I would like to point out to you that of your total cash balance, 28% of that is held for special purposes.
Does anybody have any questions?
The second report to just briefly review is the Canton Town Clerk report. We have reviewed and compiled this through the end of October as well. And over the 10-month spread, all the income received through the town clerk has been paid out or will be paid out. And revenues equal expenses, which is always the goal in this account. And so I have the town clerk report. Maybe do anything to add. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Audit committee.
For the Fund A, expenditures were $51,730.78. Townwide highway DA, $9,173.74. DB highway outside, $29,947.44. Fund B, town outside, $135,606.38. Special fire, $33,958 even. Special lighting, $293.47. And finally, trust and agency, $20,364.25 for a grand total of $251.74.06.
What was it, your system? All right, so I need a motion to approve expenditures. Second? Did you get that? John moved it. Jim moved it. You seconded it? All right, you guys gotta slow down.
Sorry.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. All right, department reports. Heidi, let's start with you.
So we already went over the financial report. It's just been pretty busy in there. I'm working on the website for the clerk's office, and a couple other areas. Mike and I'll talk in a couple weeks for code. We had the CT committee where we also discussed website and solar going on there. So that is in discussion and updating that just so the public knows. I work with Jim Piper, the dog warden, on dangerous dog case. That's interesting. And I spoke with Profile, which is the company that does our book preservation. So we're in the process of getting a book started before the end of the year. So that's really exciting for me with records management. So that's pretty much about it. We just closed out school taxes yesterday, so we're done collecting until January for town taxes.
Okay, any questions of Heidi? All right, thank you, Heidi. All right, Linda's not able to be here, but she is on Zoom. Linda, can you hear me? Okay, we're gonna go back to her. Lee,
Yes.
I was here. I was here. I couldn't get me off silence.
okay, do you mind, Lee? Do you mind? Okay, Linda.
Okay, yes, I thought about what I was doing with the unpacking and getting the museum ready, and it's been constant packing, but we're seeing the light. We have 20 more boxes to go through. And the 2 rooms are completed. The main room is almost completed where people can see through the window. And people are waving in, and when it's hot in there because of the sun, the Catholic group next door opens the door. So we have to open the door because it's 85 in the front office. So people come from the Catholic clothing place and they want to come into the main office there to see what's going on. So as John said, there is a lot of foot traffic already. A lot of foot traffic. Rachel's back, Rennis is back, and we've down to 20 boxes left. So things are moving along, and hopefully to have the building have an open celebration the end of November, early December. But I missed a written report because 27 years and I only missed 2 reports my whole time there. So please accept that you'll have a full end of the year report. Any questions?
So hopefully next week, the inspection from the village code enforcement officer will occur. We also have our insurance inspector coming up as well. So
Yes.
hopefully those 2 will just say
Pass.
congratulations, good job.
As we hope so. As we hope so. I hope to see more of you in there from the board, please. I'm gonna
Okay,
check it out.
thank you, Linda. All right, Lee?
Highlights, I guess, our CDBG CARES application was submitted, has been reviewed by the board. Office of Community Renewal tomorrow. So we'll hopefully get a positive response on that, and that is the grant that will have $500,000 for small business assistance, and also $500,000 to assist humanity helpers with mental health, mental health issues. We'll have 12 months to complete that, so we're going to hit the ground running on that. Minor Street project, there's a public meeting next Monday to outline drainage plan for the widening of the road, 6:30, right? 14th. I did submit a written report, it was late, sorry about that, and this time last week. It wasn't an extensive report this time. We have the Mill Island project, we did have the first public session since the date of the report. We've now gotten some conceptual plans that we need to get out to our community to look at, and then get some feedback from them, and then that will go into one on the design, and then we get that again, January, February. We haven't heard anything on the DRI yet. Expect that to be relatively soon. That was what we had been told. Round 7 of Restore New York has been announced. Round 6 has closed. The village did submit an application to that round. So round 7 notices of potential buyer by the period. And applications are due January 27th. So we'll see if we go that round.
Thanks, Lee. Mike McQuaid is on the road. He wanted to listen in. He's on the road right now, so everybody got his report. Not sure, Megan's not here. Okay. Cindy Graham is not able to be here. Yeah. All right, Stephen.
My report is kind of short, but just getting ready for winter. Sand pile is all completed and probably ready to go. We've started doing tree and brush maintenance. Contacted county highway Don Chambers about getting their tree truck to cut trees for us again this year. I do have down that had all the plow trucks ready to go, with the exception of one, but now they're all ready to go. We made that decision last week after the fifth of through. Get everything ready to go. Rensselaer Falls, we did 2 more projects, are all completed there, and we're currently working on our last one, so we're getting fucked up there. Heidi and I worked together to get the final reimbursement of their chips in, so that's all taken care of. And met with NIPA this past Monday on road usage from the Smart Path project and started the process for reimbursement. Kind of working at that, but I believe it's going to be a long process, so it's going to take some time. Anybody has any questions?
Where was the loader? But
Didn't get any bids on that doing the sealed bid, so I've got a contract to forward it to Eric and Marie, Highway Committee to do Auctions International. And no charges there. They do a buyer's premium, so there'll be no charge to town, even if we bid it in, don't like the final price. There's no charges, as long as we take the pictures of it and send it to them, so they don't have to send a representative up to us. There be no charges to town.
Question on that. We didn't know who would sign it. So Stephen can sign the contract. Does it require my signature?
It's town inventory, so I would expect the board is gonna have to agree on whether it gets sold or not. So.
I probably could find something like that hard enough to the highway law that authorizes it, but having the board take care of it certainly.
So do we need a motion to do that tonight? We decide?
I think that it doesn't cost anything to post it. I think the decision will be if we're gonna release it for the sale.
Yeah, we agree to the same.
We agree to the sale,
They said that,
not the posting it.
like, it would be posted on their site that it has reserve bid, but they will not put the dollar amount on it. When the auction is completed, you get an email and you have to confirm, yes or no to the price at that time. Or there shortly after, to say that you will accept the final bid or you reject it.
There's no cost to posting it though, so it doesn't sell there. Even if it sells, there's no cost. Municipalities are free, is that correct?
Yeah.
But we have to sign a contract. with them.
Yeah.
That's my point.
The buyer is going to pay up.
So is everybody good with me signing the contract?
Sure.
Pending Eric's final approval? Okay, right, great.
Steven, could you just speak to this new 2-stage plow now while you're up and maybe you try to get out of here? You could.
So I put in a request to be able to purchase a 2-stage plow for our plow trucks to try one. Last winter, town of Oswegatchie met us on the Kelly Road. They were there, so we ran our plow truck with our current plows and scraped the road. Then they ran their truck with a 2-stage plow on it, and the results spoke for themselves right there. You can picture like a York rake on the back of the tractor behind the cutting edge, and just kind of not like a grader blade, but somewhat like it to help remove more ice and snow off the road. And it when you get a real hard sheen on the road, it's hard for any salt or anything to penetrate it. This made like that rough texture to it, where it like cracked that surface, and you could tell that it was going to bear off quicker. One of our guys used to work for state DOT. He said that state DOT was actually going away from belly scrapers on the trucks and putting these plows on theirs. So I talked with another highway superintendent that has them, and they've had very good luck with them as well.
And it could translate into less salt sand too,
Correct.
over time,
Correct.
which is
Yep.
a big deal.
Less trips, less salt.
And the committee's in favor of the purchase.
So do we want to take care of that right now? The purchase of
Let's just get out there.
the two-stage front snowplow for $14,590.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Bob, second by Jim, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carry.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Stephen.
I just have one more quick question. Just wondering what the projects were in St. Paul's.
Okay, so we started out, we had kind of a major culvert replacement, starting at the fire department driveway that ran, I can't think of the name of the side street. Right clean across the fire department, out into the next door neighbor's yard. That's been a concern for multiple years now, of the driveway collapsing. We replaced that. They had several stumps. I can't remember the exact number of them around that they wanted done. Ditch line in front of the mayor's house was starting to erode a bit. He wanted that filled in and dressed off with topsoil. So we did that. All the stumps. Then Peopleton Street, inside of one curve where there's a catch basin, they wanted that dressed up to where it was more soil around it, so it could be seeded in for longer. Then we went over, and right now we're on South Street by the cemetery, digging tree stumps out and brush. And they want to make that in the loan as well.
And we have received payment for the first two projects.
Okay.
These are all billable projects.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuel and time.
We did voice some and they've happened. Thank you, Stephen.
Right.
Appreciate it.
You're all set then, I'll
Sure.
see everyone later. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night.
We do see Justice Morgan here. Would you like to say anything about clerk? Okay. So I need a motion to accept department reports.
So moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Carried. All right, committee reports.
I don't have a committee report, but I'd like to just take a couple minutes and recognize Deputy Mayor Canton, who's probably attended her last town board meeting. And thank her and recognize her for everything she's done on shared committees and everything that, all the projects we've worked on, comprehensive plan, and committee action plan, waterfront plan, grant after grant after grant. And thank you, Carol. You put in a ton of effort and it's gonna be missed.
You kind of stole my thunder because I was gonna do the same thing.
Hey, that's just first salvo, go for it.
Carol, on behalf of the town, we thank you for your service. And, you know, you and I go way back, working on the board together. If only we could bottle some of your energy and it'd be lovely to be able to have that. So you will be missed. Okay, committee reports.
The major thing I have is the sustainability committee. Of course, Ann is retiring. Should be done by at the end of the year. So the question, a big question that was brought up at our last meeting was the direction of that sustainability committee and the leadership in more so. So we put that out there. We're we're hoping somebody steps up to the plate and is able to take on that leadership role. It's a very important role, and I think it's, we're going to spend some time in the next meeting kind of talking about that and talking about the future of the sustainability committee itself.
So highway committee did meet, we talked about the items that we've already, were on the agenda, and so we did meet with them, we talked about, Michael, we talked about the minor street, we talked about the plow. So we did. And the other thing was the discussion about the PDF road agreement, we were discussing that further on Friday. So.
Thank you.
Heidi touched on it a little, when talking about work on the website, but also there's work being done developing a policy for what goes on. the website. So that's kind of a big project. I think Carol for all work on that as well. Just a lot of work. Spearheaded.
Do I work remotely? All right. Any other committee reports?
Do you want to comment on the negotiation?
I really don't.
Move right along.
Actually, for the record, we are waiting for the CSEA representative to read the red line contracts, so that we can make the retroactive payouts. And I've contacted the president twice and asked that he follow up on that. We are calculating all the numbers to do that. And hopefully have that solidified for this coming payroll. So, yeah, it's a lot. That's all I can say. So, I am meeting with Gray and Gray tomorrow to look at that again. So, okay, so we did sign the MOA. So, all right, old business, housing funds, town of Canton, 2013. Asked Heidi and Leanna to look for the record, through the records, to see if there was any documentation about the receipt of this fund.
We went through the 2012 and 2013 minutes and found nothing. I went through one box because I had the year 2013 on it and I didn't find anything. I need to find the 2013 bank statement box. I couldn't find that. So that's the last thing. That one box.
Okay. So Angela, John did send me something 2 weeks ago saying if you would be so kind as to try to research that for us as well, I appreciate that.
Still
Well,
have those records.
I'm not sure. So the clerk's office is really research, so, yeah. Okay, number 2, just this is a reminder that there is a public presentation next Monday at 6:30 at the Minor Street Road drainage safety. So that would be right down here. New business. Consider adoption of the 2023 budget. In order to do this, you just need to recognize the change that was made on Monday, and then we need to pass the resolution. I'm going to ask Heidi to bring up the resolution. So as you know, we made changes on Monday, and we need to make one more change. There is a $10 discrepancy that I discovered as I was doing the tax cap form today. And so we need to, I need to make a motion to change the preliminary budget of $10 by decreasing the A general appropriations and property taxes by $10 to satisfy the tax levy, because what we have right now is $10 over. So I'm making a motion to that. Second. All in favor? Okay. All right. So is the board ready to pass the budget? Is there any other changes or comments? But what we need to do is pass this resolution, so I'll read it real quick. This is the adoption of the 2023 town budget fiscal year, January 23 to December of 23. Whereas the town board has met at a time and place specified in the notice of public hearing on the preliminary budget and heard all persons desired to be heard thereon. Now therefore be it resolved that the preliminary budget as amended and revised as hereinafter set forth is hereby adopted and shall be and is hereby fixed at the amount shown effective January 1, 2023. Be it further resolved, we need a motion by. Okay, I need a second. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Carried. Okay, so Heidi will certify that resolution. All right, thank you.
Would this be a good time to rescind the local law of tax cap? We just do that on a motion?
Linus, are you making the motion?
Yeah, we will, I don't know, okay. I take that back.
Okay, so we'll do that in December. Okay. We need to appoint a delegate for the New York State Association of Towns annual meeting. As you all know, I will be attending that, and so we have to fill out some paperwork to that effect. So it would make sense that the supervisor be the delegate, so I need a motion to that.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Carry. So Heidi, that'll need to be submitted and certified. Sure. Yeah, thank you, Tom. Okay, the third item is to rescind the original COVID policy and procedure. As you know, this took a lot of work. And thanks to the village for assisting and be in partnership with this. But as we all know, things have changed with the paid sick leave piece of this. And what I'd like to do is take this item into executive session to further discuss. Because we do need to rescind this, but there needs to be a timeline. Okay. One moment to go back out. The next item is the resignation of planning board member Ziggy Barr, effective immediately. So thank you to Ziggy for doing that, but she also said, I'll continue on as a planning board alternate. So with appreciation, we accept her resignation. I don't know that we need a formal vote on that. It's just for purposes only, but number 5, again, she's willing to serve as an alternate, and it is a 1-year annual appointment. So I need a motion to appoint Ziggy Barr as planning board alternate for 1 year, effective immediately. Moved by Bob, is there a second? I'll second that. All in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. The next item is to appoint Eric Farr. I'm gonna go to number 7. Eric Farr from alternate to the planning board for a 5-year term effective immediately. And this is a result of Deb Backus should be stepping down as well. So moved by Bob Washel, is there a second? Second by Bob Sandemore. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Number 6, appoint Ian McCallard from alternate to the planning board effective December 8th.
Second.
All in favor?
That takes effect the day after the planning chair steps down.
Yes. Okay. I said that. I didn't say it. Okay. The next item is the rights of the river. We are tabling that item. Number 9, we already did approve purchase of the snowplow. Number 10, complete streets appointment. We do have a person that was recommended, Jennifer Henry. Toby, you're here. Would you like to speak to that?
Jennifer's a new member, relatively new member of the community, but she's very interested in our work, attended the meeting, and agreed to serve, so we'll forward a recommendation.
Okay, and everybody got the letter regarding Jennifer. So is there a motion to appoint Jennifer Henry to the complete student schedule. Fair second. All in favor, say aye. Carried. Town committee reassignment. This is in regards to the building committee. Bob has resigned from the building committee. Thank you, Bob, for all the work on that. And so my reassignment is John Tyo to serve in that capacity. Number 12. We received the MJ engineering proposal on Monday. I've made a copy for each board member and also sent it this afternoon via email. So we had talked about meeting a proposal for the comprehensive plan, and so this is it. I have not had I was waiting for this in order to talk to Russell Falls as well. But did the ET committee discuss this?
We talked about it. So.
Did you want to report out on what we discussed?
Well, basically, we kind of left, correct me if I'm wrong, but we left it where we would make it informational for our board tonight. We're just gonna look at it next week and then we might even jump into the decision. No.
I had thought that we were going to, any changes y'all wanted to make to it or any notes to it, and then pass it, and we would discuss it at our board meeting next week, and then we could get it back to you in January. If there was, rather than waiting for a joint meeting, so we could get going on it. That's where I had thought we left it. Or if you were to pass it, you know, you could be fine with it, then it could be done at our board meeting if we passed it.
With that said, then I want, before I'm good with this, I want to see clarification on Rensselaer Falls, participation or not, because we already played this game with the comprehensive plan itself, and I want to know who's paying for it before we do it, not after.
I think the real reason the issue for trying to consider it faster was so that you could get started with it in January. I think that, you know, if it can be considered in December, it could get going in January or later in January. I mean, I think the idea is just to try to get going with it as early in the year as possible. That's why we had sent John today that we thought if we could do it before the next joint meeting. It would be great.
So there's some concern with the agencies.
There's got to be discussion on who the lead is going to be to sign the contract and then the MOUs, you know, if it's going to be the same structure that was done for the comprehensive plan or not. So this is on my list for next week to follow up with Rensselaer Falls.
I think on joint efforts like this that involve one or two more municipalities, we should always be the lead with a higher funding program. With the proper MOUs. But again, I think we need to get with Mercer Falls and find out what's going on there.
Okay, so I will follow up and communicate back with everybody. I think the one question. Okay, so is everybody, what do you think about that? The town being the lead? Okay. All right, so we'll follow up and hopefully I'll have an answer for you. Great, okay. So thank you for reaching out and getting that done. It is very important. And I kind of like that price, actually. That was reasonable. Okay, great. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, with that being said, we do need, I need a motion to go into executive session to discussion of proposed pending insurance litigation and employment dispute. Is there a second? All right, I'll second. All in favor? All in favor? All right.
You too.
All right, Paul.